Okay, welcome to another edition of Tech 20 Tuesday, everyone. Jeff Holder is presenting again today, so I will leave the floor to him.
Great, thanks, Mark. Thank you, everyone, for joining me this afternoon. This afternoon, I'm just going to do a quick overview of PowerTeacher home screen plus some customized reports that have been added in, along with some information on the PLP indicator and how that is to be filled out by the classroom teacher. This is sort of a preview of the PowerTeacher main screen, knowing that on the PD days this week, we will be addressing Gradebook for both K-8 and 9 to 12 in different sessions. So please take a look at those and see which ones you can join as well. So the first thing I'd like to do is just take a quick look at the PowerTeacher main screen that we're on right now. You'll see that I'm in a training environment. So the difference between the training environment and your real environment is that I'm working with what they call scrambled data. So there's no real student information in here, but it operates exactly the same as the New Brunswick environment. So across the top, you'll see just the PowerTeacher home link if you follow my mouse across the top, of course, which always gets you home, and the school link. Now, for most people, when they click on this blue link, it doesn't change. For those teachers who are itinerant or people have work in different schools, you may have other schools to pick there. So if you're logged into PowerTeacher, you can click on this and then choose the school that you would be a member at as well. So if that's a possibility for you. You'll also note that the term button is not changeable. That is actually set at the level of the office, and here. That's actually set at the level of the office and is not changeable, but it does indicate all of your classes that you have for this current school year. And of course, there's a help function up here and a sign out function as well. And you'll also notice that the print function, which remains in the blue bar for most reports and most screens that you're on. Now, for most teachers in PowerTeacher, regardless of whether you're in the K-5 or middle school or high school environment, your screens will look very, very similar, just with different class names on here. The first thing to look at, though, is why are some classes grayed out and why are others lit up? Now, there's a couple of reasons for that. Or could be a couple of reasons for that. So if you're seeing that on your screen, it's not an indication that there's a problem with the system, but an indication of one of two things. First of all, it could be that your administration has set the entire year of classes to view here, but only the classes that are currently in semester or in term are actually showing. So these potentially could be classes that are operating next semester. The other possibility is that your school runs on an A-B cycle or a different day cycle, and today may be day A and tomorrow may be day B, and these will only appear on the days that they are actually classes that the students take. So either way, these don't indicate that there's a problem with the attendance taking. It just indicates that only these three classes for this training teacher are actually classes that you would take attendance for. Now, this will also list, of course, there's some information in here too. This will list the way that the school is set up over here under, if you see where my mouse is, where I've just turned blue, so indicating that an AP class or a homeroom class, and you'll also see that this school is actually set up with all A days. So every day is exactly the same. They don't change from one to the next. Yours may look a little different in your school depending on how the setup is done. Of course, this will list the classes, the courses that the teacher teaches, and the ability to take attendance. Taking attendance from the classroom teacher's perspective is as simple as doing one of two things. If I'm taking my attendance in my homeroom class, I just click on the chair and my students come up. If all of my students are here, it's nothing more complicated than clicking submit and I'm done. And when you do that, the green light will come on and show that your attendance is taken. The office can run a report showing what teachers have taken and not taken attendance. So it's important to make sure that the green light is actually on, showing that you have submitted your attendance. If after you've taken attendance, a student arrives late into class, you can always just go back in, click on the chair, choose the student, and select the appropriate code and resubmit. And that way there the proper code is put in for the student. If you have students who are away for an illness, multiple students who are away, if I click on this, you'll see the default code is always present, but maybe I have a number of students for some reason who have an excused absence. And I just change that to excused absence and just click on all the students that it applies to. And click submit. And again, the green light will come on showing that attendance has been properly taken. Now there's another way to take attendance as well. If you have a note that has come in from a parent saying they're going to be away for a week, you can actually do that by clicking on the multi-day attendance. And you'll notice that a more calendar-like window will appear. So what you can do here is just select the code, maybe it's excused absence, and select the days that they're going to be away. And again, click submit, and it's done. So that's a use of the multi-day attendance. For most teachers and most processes in schools, the single day, what we call chair attendance, is probably the easiest way to do that. And also remember, it's always defaulted to the current day. So you'll see today is Tuesday, October 7th, but maybe I got busy yesterday and didn't get my attendance in exactly on time. No problem, I can just click on this down arrow, go back to Monday, and just enter the attendance for Monday. And this is actually a good time to look at this particular student. You'll see that there is already an absence put in, and I can't change that at the teacher level. That's because the office has entered that attendance item. So that's an indication that either for some reason the office put in an unexcused absence for this person, but cannot be changed by the teacher, only can be viewed by the teacher for attendance purposes. So if I take a quick look again, working my way across, we don't use the meal functionality here, so we don't need to worry about that. But the other very important piece is the backpack. The backpack is actually a list of all of your students in this particular class. So whatever class you're clicking on. So I'm going to click on the homeroom. And you'll see that you now have a list of your homeroom students here, but also you have a list of all your other classes here. So even if you wanted to view the backpack information of another class, you don't have to go back to Power Teacher start over again. You can just click on the next class that you wanted to look at. The interesting piece about the backpack is that it gives you all of the important data on a particular student. So if I click on this particular student, I get what's called the quick lookup view. Now, if this quick lookup view doesn't show automatically, it's just in the select screens menu that you see here. So I just click quick lookup. There are other things that you can do, like demographics. If I wanted to maybe call home for the student, then it would give me their address and phone number and so on. So I would have that piece of information along with their different contacts. So that information would be there as well. And then I can just flip back and go to quick lookup. I could look at student photo if it was in, and so on. So I'm going to go back to quick lookup. The quick lookup is a really good way to look at a particular student over a period of time. So if you're looking at this particular student, you can see 2 weeks worth of attendance. So you can see that I just entered that attendance in there a moment ago, but you can see 2 weeks worth of attendance. You can also see all the classes that the student is currently enrolled in. And you can also see, once teachers start populating grades into their gradebook, you can also see how a student is doing in a particular class. So in my case, I actually teach this student, excuse me, I'm actually this student's homeroom teacher, but I can view how they're doing in Post-Intensive French 9, how they're doing in Social Studies 9, and once the other grades begin to be populated and teachers put assignments in their gradebook, I can see that as well. So if I was having a meeting with a parent and I was discussing how they're doing in my Post-Intensive French class, you know, I would also have some knowledge of how they're doing in the other classes as well. And these are all linkable, so I can actually click on this 92, and I can see how they've actually done on their quizzes and the assessments in that particular class. Now for the K-8 environment, I went back all the way to the front. In the K-8 environment, of course, we're not using percentage-based assessment. So what's going to happen here is that you'll see that when I mouse over these two lines, it actually is a link as well. In the K-8 environment, you would be able to click on this double dotted line and actually go inside and see the achievement standards on any particular assessment that a teacher has put in. So works both in the K-8 environment and the 9 to 12 environment, but in the 9 to 12 environment, you'll actually see numeric values, you'll see percentages. In the K-8 environment, you'll be clicking on any particular link, and you'll see that Q1, Q2, S1, and F1, that will show up differently by school. It indicates quarter 1, quarter 2, semester 1, and the final year. So of course, our schools will be set up differently, whether they're set up in 4 quarters or trimesters or semesters or those kind of things. So your view will look a little different. Also, you'll be able to see absences for that particular student. And if you want to, you can click on the absence for 2, so you can see that this student missed English Language Arts twice. You can click on 2, and it will give you the dates and what the codes were for those absences. Now, this is the quick lookup. And of course, this is by student, so you do need to click on each student as you move down the list, because you are seeing a global view of the student, more than just a single solitary attendance view of the student. So I'm going to go back out to Power Teacher, and again, that was on the backpack view. Now, another important indicator would be on the PLP indicator, which is the blue octagon that you see here, and you click on this, and if a student has, and this one does, so I'm going to go back to home again. If a student has a PLP or an SEP, then the indication once you click it will be here. I'm going to pick actually a course and see if there's one in there. Science 9. Good. So you'll notice that these all have, and I know it's a little hard to see, but you'll see that the resource teacher would have set this up in your school, and it will indicate that this student has a PLP. But you'll also notice that there's no tag in the individualization or in the modification tab. Now this applies all the way from K through 12, because the individualization or the modification is set at the level of the class, not at the level of the student. So a student could, of course, be individualized in one class, but have no modifications or individualized programming in another. So what will happen is the teacher will click on the blue link beside the name, and then select which one is appropriate, or both if they are, and click Submit. And you'll notice now that this particular student, again, I know it's grayed out, it's slightly hard to see on the screen, but you'll notice that this student now has a modification indicated. That is what will populate to the report card. If there is no checkbox checked by the classroom teacher in these checkboxes, then nothing will populate to the report card. So it's very important. This PLP indicator only allows you to see what students in your class potentially have a PLP. You then, as a classroom teacher, would then click on the students as required and add in either an individualization or modification if you needed that. So again, that's from the PLP indicator. Click on that, click on the name of the student, and indicate which one applies. And you'll see that that applied there as well. So that's important information that needs to be looked after at the classroom level, because it would be something that would print out on the report card that goes home. So it's something to look at in the near future to do. One of the other things that we want to touch on, and I know we've only got a few minutes left, is just a quick view down the side of our menu until I reach MB Reports, which is what I'll finish off with today. And just to bear in mind that the daily bulletin is just that. You'll see that it says Oromocto High School Bulletin. This daily bulletin is only something that if the administration decides to use it. It could be potentially an information that says for example, dance tonight, we need chaperones, or a staff meeting at 4 o'clock, or team meeting at such and such a time. It's information that's put on there by administration. It may or may not be used by your administrator, so it may not be something you need to check. One thing to bear in mind is the daily bulletin. If your school decides to use that as a communication tool, then just bear in mind that you don't get a notification that there is something in there. It doesn't light up or anything like that, so it would be something you'd have to come in and click on every day to check. But again, only if your office or administrator decides that that's something that they want to use. Otherwise, it will just remain blank. The schedule is just a visual view of your schedule. So again, this of course is a training environment, so it doesn't look complete, but it would be just a more matrix view if you wanted to see a more matrix view of your particular schedule. Staff directory will have information on the other teachers in your building and contact information. Personalized is one of the things I like about the personalized is that you can actually change the default student screen. And the default student screen is that screen that you see when you click on a student's name from the backpack. For most people, that would be probably the most effective screen would be the quick lookup screen. And you just click on default student screen, select, which I've already done, select quick lookup. Maybe it's demographics, maybe you want their phone number first, but select quick lookup and click submit. Gradebook, we're going to talk about that more at the end of the week. And the last thing I want to touch on today before ask if there's any questions are on the MB reports. Now, a number of questions have come in regarding the ability to see global attendance at the high school level specifically, about seeing attendance of students. Now, there is a report that I'm going to show you in a moment. The report is a global attendance report for your homeroom class. So it allows you, if you're managing your homeroom attendance, so if these students are yours to manage and you're looking after their attendance, then you would click on NB reports, and you'll see, I'm going to go over the other two in a second, you'll see that the homeroom students period attendance, if I click on this, it says, what periods would you like to see? I'm going to select all, so I just leave it blank, and I'll select Friday. Now, there may not be any data in here because this is a training environment. Let's take a look and see. And there is, good. So you'll see that as a homeroom teacher, I can see that this is my homeroom students period attendance. This is a global view of my students for the day. But the first thing you're going to look at it and say, but it's not in order. It's sortable in any order that you would like. So right now it's sorted by period. But for most of us, we'd like to see student. So I'm going to click on student, and you'll notice that it just started to sort by student. So I can see that this student was absent, period 3, period 5, and AP. 2 of them were an unexcused absence. 1 of them was an excused absence. There is the teacher, and there are the courses and the room numbers that they were in. So of course you can sort by period, by student, by absence reason, by teacher, by course, and by room number. So this gives you as a homeroom teacher a more global view of how your students' attendance has been populated for the day. So if you're tracking things like tardies or unexcused or that kind of information, you can do it from this global attendance report. You also have the ability to send it out to Excel, PDF, or print it off if you prefer. There's really no need to print unless you absolutely need a copy of it to show somebody, because you can always go back in at any time, click on homeroom students period attendance, just select the date in the calendar. You can go back in time to any of the dates in the school year and just pick the date and rerun it again. So unless you absolutely need a copy of it to have on hand, there's really no need to print out a copy. You can always go back at any time. The other 2 reports would be the student medical emergency. So this would be, if you click on this report, you can select which periods you'd like to have. I'll take my homeroom class. And this will give you a listing, provided there's any information in there, of students with medical emergencies. In this case, there were none. So I'll go back and try and see if one of my other classes has a medical emergency. Try Science 9. There we go. So you'll see that this again is also a printable report, maybe something I want to keep in my file folder on my desk or something along that line, but it tells me the name of the student and what the medical alerts are, okay, and any information. This would all have been entered at the level of the, excuse me, all entered at the level of the office, and you can see that it tells you what class it's in and so on. So that's a medical emergency report that you can print off for your use in your classroom. And also under NB reports, although this one also exists in Gradebook, and many teachers have already discovered this in Gradebook, it also exists here, and that's the student birthday report. And this student birthday report is for all months. You can filter it by all months, by grades, or by classes. So I can filter my homeroom, click submit, and it gives me the names of my students, grade level they're in, their birthday, age today, and so on. And you'll see that the birthdays here may not be in the order that you want them in, although these are sorted from January on. But if you wanted to sort them by their name or whatever, you can sort that in again, send it out to Excel, PDF, or to print. I know I'm a little over time. That was a quick look at Power Teacher and the main screens, including the PLP indicator, which is very important, along with the NB reports. If anybody has any questions now, I'd certainly be willing to take them at any time.
Just turn on your mic if anyone has a question, and feel free to ask Jeff anything that he's presented today. Okay then, if no one has any questions, you can expect to be able to see this video again tomorrow. I'll be posting it sometime during the day, and I'll be sending an email again for the topic for next week. Thank you very much, and thank you very much, Jeff Holder.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it.
Take care, everyone.